All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to W.M.S.T podcast, episode number 50, the Big 5-0. I am your host, Syed. Welcome to the first episode of 2020. It was a great 2019, and looking forward to the rest of the year and see what it brings to the podcast and the wrestling, the movie, and the sports world. We'll see what craziness is going on there. But first, before we get into our topics today, make sure you like, subscribe, share the audio links. And here is the cast for tonight. We've got Editor-in-Chief Ziggler. What up, Ziggler?
What's up, man? Hyped for Wrestle Kingdom in about a few hours, so
Hell
it's
yeah.
gonna be fun.
We're sure gonna cover that next week.
Yeah.
And we got everybody's favorite weirdo and mine, Cam. What up, Cam?
Merry New Year.
Merry New Year. Get all the pleasantries out of the way. New Year, Merry Christmas, all of that. All right, so first thing we got to talk about, because it's way too ridiculous to not mention, because I think we've gone on this podcast way too long without mentioning the storyline, the Lana and Bobby Lashley quote unquote wedding segment slash this whole storyline that's been going on. So this past Raw, this was the last Raw of the decade, the last Raw of 2019, and it ended with a storyline that a lot of people would say was very sports entertaining, but not, in a good way. Because here's the thing, right? So we ended up having one of our first sort of looks at what an LGBT storyline is going to look like in WWE, because Stephanie McMahon 3 years ago has said in interviews that we are going to integrate more LGBT characters into our storylines, and so this ended up being it. So Liv Morgan has been obviously being being repackaged for many weeks, and she's been in these promo packages for I think it was like about 5 to 6 weeks, and a lot of people were speculating that this would be an Emelina kind of situation, but it turns out it was something completely different. So this Lana and Bobby Lashley wedding is happening, and it's kind of long, but it's a car crash kind of wedding. Like it's bad, but you kind of can't look away. And kudos to the guy who was the wedding official.
The Bill Belichick lookalike.
Yeah, the Bill Belichick lookalike. He did a really good job. He kind of kept the segment afloat. And yeah, when they got to the parts where he was asking, does anybody oppose this wedding? Then we started getting the interruptions. So Lana's first quote unquote first husband came out, and he was the guy. He is an indie wrestler. He took that choke slam from Bobby Lashley pretty well. Then we had another indie wrestler come out claiming to be Bobby's first wife, and she got slapped. And I think she was on a few episodes of NXT as well. And
she was in a SmackDown tag match with now AEW's Chris Statlander, the Brooklyn Bells with the Iconics.
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, that's where I was remembering her from. So, and then finally, the third person to interrupt is Liv Morgan, and she goes on and on about how you were the love of my life, blah blah blah, and then Bobby's like, I've never met this woman or something like that, and then Liv goes, I'm not talking about you, Bobby. I'm talking about Lana, and then the crowd just goes crazy, and they die right after the cat fight starts. And then Rusev comes out of the cake because, obviously you can't have that big of a cake and not have somebody come out of it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the final Raw of the decade, the final Raw of the year. It was honestly the perfect ending. It's so bad, it's so sports entertaining. This is the perfect Vince McMahon segment, and they threw everything they had on the wall. Like, this is nothing wrestling related. This is just a really bad soap opera that you get a few memes out of. Uh, I don't know where they take the storyline now. I have no idea. I mean,
Bro, this makes soap operas look like fucking Emmy worthy, you know,
I know, right?
and Oscar worthy.
Pretty sure Heyman watches too many soap operas. I'm like, where is this man getting these ideas from?
It's
And it's
like what would happen if ECW had a budget.
oh, that's a good comparison. Yeah, I mean, look, man, if you enjoy the segment, good for you. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't hate it either. I was just enjoying the train wreck because I just knew there were a lot of memes or a lot of discussion that was gonna happen, and it did bump the ratings for Raw, even though like Monday Night Football wasn't on. Raw had the highest ratings for this segment, uh, for the whole entire show actually, the highest rating since August. I mean, it was like around 2.4 million, which isn't really that good if you think about it, because Raw should be realistically averaging like 3 million, but this was the highest they've had in a while. So I don't know. You know, I'm in the middle. I don't hate it. I don't like it. It's just I'm kind of curious to see where they go from here. So, so Cam, what did you think? What were you thinking when the segment was going on?
First off, I was looking at the clock on my TV and on my phone. I was
Oh yeah, I
like
was so
Raw doesn't
surprised they
have an
overran.
overrun. Like Raw hasn't had an overrun in a long time. Like they got rid of that, and I kept looking. I was like, why is Lana riffing on the fans? Y'all don't have the time for this. And then they overran it. That was literally probably the main reason why they ran for so long because of Lana reacting to the fans. But my main reaction to the whole segment was I watched it last night and I formed my opinion. You know how there are movies that are so bad they're good? That's this segment. How ridiculous, how terrible it is with the acting, the interruptions, the stupid cake. Like they've done a whole big ass cake coming out of the big ass cake thing before, and the whole thing it's just what more can be said about it that hasn't been said? It's bad. It's hilarious. Like I had the time of my life laughing at your shitty ass segment.
Yeah, that's true. And hey, it is creating a discussion online, and I guess Vince's philosophy is any reaction is a good reaction, you know? So yeah. I know Ziggler completely avoided the segment. I ended up seeing it out of curiosity because it was the final Raw of 29, so I was like, wonder what they're gonna do for the final Raw. Uh, Definitely surprising. Yeah, Ziggler, do you have any thoughts on the overall thing?
Nah, I just avoided it at all costs. I was not going to go anywhere near this segment. All I saw was posts from Instagram and Hound's 27 posts about it. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
Like all his stories were the segment.
yeah. How you gotta stop that, man.
Please let the people breathe when watching them.
True. All right. So that was that. That was Monday Night Raw. And moving on to Wednesday nights, there was no actual NXT show this week. They had like an awards show this week. So no actual wrestling for NXT. Uh, but it was interesting to see like uh, them getting awards. You know, NXT has this like yearly awards. So you know, their picks were their picks, but I wanted to ask you guys, like, who would you pick as, superstar of the year, women's superstar of the year, um, all that. So, I mean, I'll go first. Personally, if I think NXT, I think Undisputed Era. So obviously, superstar of the year for NXT, like I would definitely go with Adam Cole, and that's like a no-brainer choice. Like anybody who watches NXT would pick that. Like the man is just on fire. Like he's been carrying the brand with Undisputed Era, and he's had a lot of help, but yeah, he's definitely doing some real good work. Obviously
I'd
tag team
say
of,
him and Gargano have been carrying it too. Like
yeah.
Gargano's been played a big part in this
I
too.
would I would have probably
Right.
given it to Gargano if he wasn't gone for a while, but yeah, like
Right.
Gargano for sure, yeah. Uh, I mean, like okay, I know. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Shayna Baszler, but I can't deny her dominance over the division. Like I think she was champ for the entire year except for like 11 or so days. I mean, and I mean, I'll admit she's been very consistent. Like she's carried a lot of good matches. Uh, s- uh,
Some matches weren't the best. That Mia Yim match wasn't all that good, wasn't all that great.
yeah, you know, yeah,
But other than that, the War Games match, Bianca Belair at Phoenix, the Fatal Four Way, the Candice LeRae match,
yeah,
and the Rhea Ripley match where she lost the title.
yeah. Even though I'm not her biggest fan, I can admit that she's brought this sense of legitimacy to the division. The sense of like danger, like like
Oh,
she's
and I
kind of
forgot
like,
about the Io Shirai match too.
yeah, she's like the Brock Lesnar of the division if Brock Lesnar was a full-time wrestler. So I would definitely pick her as the women wrestler of the year. Uh,
And for some, she's what Ronda Rousey should have been booked as.
true. Wow, that never crossed my mind. That is actually a good
And
idea.
don't get me
I don't
now.
think
I didn't mind face Rousey, but that's how she should have been booked right out of the gate, just as a dominant force.
True. I think we only got
I don't think
like a month of heel.
Ronda. Yeah, I don't think Ronda would have been as consistent as Shayna though,
Hmm.
because she
Yeah, that
stuff.
yeah. Uh, yeah. I mean, overall, I feel like also we picked NXT for the brand of the year in our last week's episode. So NXT overall had a really awesome year this year. They went head to head against AEW and showed people that they are the premier wrestling brand as of right now.
Cleaned up at
So
Survivor Series.
yeah, and Survivor Series was definitely like a big boost for them, both on a creative side and a kind of a more business side with the ratings and the overall promotion they got from Survivor Series. So I mean that was a definitely smart choice for WWE to put them over at Survivor Series. Uh,
It also created big stars like Rhea Ripley and Keith Lee,
yep, exactly.
and also
Dijakovic.
he wasn't on Survivor Series.
No, he wasn't on Survivor Series, but they've been showcasing him quite well with
Yeah.
Keith. He was even in the War Games match.
Yeah.
But we did have a proper episode of AEW this week, and last week we talked about kind of the up and down year Dynamite has had since its first episode in early October. Um, and obviously we talked about the problems they've had very extensively. But I would say that this episode of AEW Dynamite had some really good stuff, and they I feel like they addressed a lot of the issues they had, and they also um, had like a soft reboot of everything. Obviously, with the records being cleaned up, they would have like a AEW overall career record on the side, but like all the records are reset now, so it's like a fresh start for everybody. So they definitely fixed a lot of the issues that were plaguing them these past few weeks. Cody and Darby again had a really awesome match. Glad Cody won. Darby looked strong, and Cody won. That was definitely the right move. I'm loving Adam Cole's new uh, character arc. Like he's like this drunk now, like drunk
Adam
person.
Adam
Page.
Cole, Adam
Sorry,
Page.
Adam Page. Sorry, I'm mixing up my Adams. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry, Adam Page. And of course, in the main event, the Elite won their main event against Lucha Bros and Pac, and that was good. Like, we definitely need the Elite to, because here's the thing, right? It's a balancing act. You can't please everybody. I feel like we're at a point where the people who are tuning in to watch AEW are there mostly for the Elite, right? So they need to see the Elite win, no matter what. I'm just kidding. They need to see them like be dominant for a little bit more before they start putting people over. I mean, I'm glad that they're willing to put tag teams like Pride and Powerful and uh,
Private
the
Party.
Private Party over. I'm glad, but
Lucha
I think
Brothers.
yeah. And first they
Did they
need
put
to
him? I'm not sure they put him over.
again. Well, I'm not in like a straight up tag team, but like as in a three-man tag matches. Because the first episode they lost their main event. Y'all remember that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I feel like okay, the audience who's tuning into AEW, they need to see the elite being the elite, right? They need to see that first before they get to the others. Uh, and I feel like another thing that they're doing really well is they're building up factions. Obviously, that's like an old school wrestling tactic, but it's still effective to this day. Like, you got the inner circle, you got the elite, dark order, like you got all these factions right now that are jockeying for positions to have their wrestlers be on top. So I think that's good. That is really good storytelling. And that's another thing, they're adding more storytelling. Like MJF obviously was a big star this week with his another awesome promo where he set up the stipulations to face Cody Rhodes at AEW Revolution in February, where Cody can't hit him until the pay per view. Cody has to take 10 lashes on live TV in front of his family or something like that. And finally, he has to face Wardlow, his MJF's manager, in a steel cage match. AEW's first ever steel cage match, by the way.
Is this
So
before or? Oh, wait. This is before the pay per view match.
yeah, this is before the pay-per-view match, yeah. So if all those stipulations are met, then Cody will face MJF at Revolution. This feud should be really good, and yeah, I'm loving everything MJF is doing with his promo so far. So yeah, a really great episode, and I hope they continue this. Obviously, they need to build on this. They can't just have this one great episode and just go back to what they were doing a few weeks past. Keep building this, and I think they'll be all right. So yeah. So Ziggler, what were your thoughts on AEW this week, and how do you see them going forward?
Oh yeah, it was great. Like you said, I'm happy that they're building up the elite now, and hopefully they're gonna pick up a few wins. And I like this Hangman Page angle too, where he's a drunk and he feels like he let down the elite, and he doesn't feel like he's like the elite anymore. So hope maybe we're gonna get a heel turn maybe soon, because we know he's tagging with Kenny a lot lately. So maybe he'll turn on Kenny. That would be a pretty cool feud. And Yeah, that main event, even though it like had 13 minutes left, unfortunately, it was still pretty fucking awesome. I wish it had more time, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Fucking TV time. It's not like they can go overtime, I guess, like NXT. But yeah, I thought all the matches were great though. I really don't see any flaws with this show, although it was just the main event that they were running low on time. That's what that sucked. So
Yeah, they couldn't run overtime because Shawshank Redemption had to play next.
yeah, that 30-year-old movie had to play. Yeah. God forbid that
I mean,
doesn't
it is
play.
one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, still. Yeah, I almost went to this event, but I didn't feel like going. It's all the way in Jacksonville. It's like 6 hours away. So I
Same
just
place where they had Fight for the Fallen.
Are you going to Bash?
No, I'm broke.
Yep, can relate.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a great show overall. It looks like hopefully they're gonna do more with their women's division. That Fatal 4-Way was dope. And next week is Statlander versus Riho, so that's gonna be fun. Should be a good match.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. And Cam, your thoughts on this week's episode?
It wasn't bad. Cody and Darby was a good match. The women's 4-way, a lot of people don't really think that the women's division needs a lot of rehabbing and a lot of help. It wasn't a bad match, but the division does need a lot of attention to it. What else? We didn't mention John Moxley thing.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention it. Go ahead.
John Moxley had a match with Chuck Taylor, and he won that. And Sammy Guevara came out and cut a promo on him, asking about still doing the ongoing storyline of him joining the Inner Circle. Cut to the Tron. Jericho is outside of a hotel with a Ford GT. He offers that GT, and 49% was it?
Yeah, I know. He said 51%. I think.
Well, that number of the Inner Circle's liquid assets. And that's all if he joins the Inner Circle. So
Ooh.
next week we will get an answer for that.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't destroy the GT, man. That's a beautiful car.
Right, that's too good of a car to wreck. I mean, WWE can wreck cars a lot, but it's just harmless cars like an Escalade or something that you see on the road quite often.
Yeah,
but
and they're
not a supercar.
Yeah, and they're like gimmicked cars. I don't know if that's a gimmicked car, but yeah, I would hate to see that car get wrecked.
Do you remember? Speaking of gimmick cars, do you remember J&J Security and Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins gifted J&J Security a Cadillac, and Lesnar destroyed it. That's the one car that Lesnar threw the door at in the crowd.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That
also
was
happened
funny.
in Chicago.
Like that was a gimmicked car where the parts are easy to get to take off. Here's hoping that car doesn't get trashed.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it to be. It's fucking Moxley. I mean, maybe the car won't be a thing next week. So
Yeah, we'll see. But it's actually an interesting storyline. Like I like the route they're taking. Like, hey, instead of facing me for the championship, why don't you just join us? I think that's a good way for them to take the storyline. I think it's gonna create some very entertaining segments. And yeah, definitely looking forward to this feud. It's gonna be a really good one.
Do you guys think Moxley's gonna beat Jericho for the title?
He might.
Maybe, yeah. I can see that. Sure.
Maybe.
I think it's either gonna be him or Omega to take it off Jericho.
Yeah, but
Or
Omega
maybe
needs to be
Adam.
built up.
Oh wait, they did build up Adam Page and they beat him at All Out.
Yeah.
They can
I,
do it again, but
I think Adam Page is gonna take a slower burn to a heel turn, and then eventually he'll. I think after All Out 2, oh sorry, All Out 3, he's going to be a more prominent fixture in the main event. I think until then he might be going towards a dissension angle between him and the Elite. I don't know.
I keep thinking about them doing a mid card title.
Yeah.
Like I have three people. Like I keep saying, I have three people in mind: him, MJF, and Darby.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Hopefully they introduce that either by May, the Double or Nothing 2, or maybe the September pay-per-view they do. Hopefully by then we'll get a mid-card title.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed that video and make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And click on the channel to check out some more awesome videos like our movie and wrestling debates and our interviews with people like the Wrestling Classic and Jordan Jomo from the IGWC. And we are definitely looking into delivering you all some more content in the near future, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And thank you for your support.